Good afternoon, everybody. Again, it's Archivist David Thomas at the Cornwall Record Office at Truro. Welcome to our further session of David's Dazzling Documents. They used to say that fish, tin and copper made Cornwall, and the maritime aspect of Cornwall, the fishing and the sailing, because Cornwall is surrounded by the sea, is a very important part of our history. On the table today, we've got a number of one of a series of shipping registers, which are here in the Cornwall Record Office, that record the port records for the ships that for many of the great Cornish ports. Some of them go back to the 1780s, but here on the table we actually have one for the port of Falmouth, and this begins in the 1880s. And if you're interested in maritime and shipping history, they provide an incredible amount of detail for the ships. This is 1885, this particular record, and it points to a ship called the Hetty, which is actually a sailing ship, and it was built at the Cornish yard in Fiach in 1877, and it was built by a man called John Stevens. And the detail about the ships is quite extensive. We know the number of the decks, the masts, how it's rigged, the type of the stern, and the build, the galleries of the ship. And the head is actually a 3/4 woman in this particular case, so it's probably the shape of the figurehead. And we also get the names of the owners of the vessels. For instance, we've got William Langworthy Jenkin, William Chellew, other Jenkins in that particular vessel. And you'll also have particulars like the length of the ship, its breadth and its depth, and what they actually recorded in these shipping registers.
Okay.
So, just turning on to a different vessel, for instance, here we have a ship called the Norman that was registered in June 1886. And this is a larger ship. It's a screw steamship, and it was engines. There were 2 of these. They were British made in 1885. And it's recorded about the cylinders, and also the owners, as in the other ships, are also recorded. We have also a Phillips here in this one, Herbert Henry Cox, and also Edwin Charles Phillips. When the ownership changed, the records take you to a different series of registers, and you can follow through the history of particular vessels. And I know a lot of people come in to look at these particular ships, these records, because they are so extensive and so detailed about our maritime history. Here's another ship, licensed or registered in May 1892 at Falmouth, and you have the ship's number, which also takes you to a series of crew lists in some cases. And the ship is called the Pendarvis, a good Cornish name. And it's actually, although it's registered in Falmouth, it was built in the Middlesbrough with in St Ives in West Cornwall for history of those vessels. So we've got a Richard Berryman Chellew of the Exchange Buildings, Truro, appointed the person to whom the management of the vessel is entrusted by and on behalf of the owners. So if you're interested in shipping history, this is the type of material that you need to look at. We have port registers for not only Falmouth, but we have Penzance, the Isles of Scilly, Padstow, Truro, and a lot of the great Cornish ports. So groups of small ports will be licensed in the bigger fishing vessels. Come and enjoy them if you want to know more about our Cornish maritime history.